Welcome back. At the top of the newscast, we told you former Antigonish Bishop Raymond Lahi is sitting in an Ottawa jail tonight after pleading guilty to one count of possessing child pornography. As bishop, Lahi was instrumental in the multi-million-dollar settlement of a class action suit against the diocese by victims of abuse at the hands of Catholic clergy. Lawyer John McKiggan represented victims and joins us now. Thanks for coming in, John. First, let me ask you a legal question. Lahi was charged with possession and distribution of child pornography, but the distribution charge was dropped. Seems kind of odd given, well, how much material they found on his electronics. Why would that be the case?
Well, I guess you could ask the Crown that question, but I expect it's because they weren't certain they could prove that he intended to distribute it. I mean, if you have the analogy for drug possession, someone who is found with a couple of joints, they can be charged with possession. Then the question becomes, did they intend to distribute it or sell it? It's, I guess, more difficult to prove that someone intends to distribute or sell a product. So I expect that's why they agreed to the plea that they did.
Yeah, okay. You represented victims of abuse in the class action suit. Of course, Lahi was a signatory on that deal. So how has that affected your clients emotionally?
Well, when the charges came to light initially, I have to say there were a lot of people, not just my clients, but parishioners and survivors generally, who were shocked, as was I. The question really is, what effect does it have or should it have on the class action? And the two aren't connected. The class action and the efforts that Ron Martin took to fulfill the promise to his brother is something that he did to help survivors and to hold the Catholic Church and the diocese accountable. And it was an historic accomplishment. And, it was done because that was the right thing to do, and that hasn't changed. So it would be unfortunate if the charges against Lahi are seen as detracting in any way from Ron Martin's accomplishment.
At the same time, there has to be a level of difficulty with it. Lahi seems so earnest throughout that process, and now he's involved, not long later with these tremendous and very serious charges. It's almost as if, we're seeing two sides of the man here. I've talked to, questioned, discovered, cross-examined many pedophiles, sexual abusers. They have an incredible ability to compartmentalize. When the class action was announced, it was my feeling that Lahi's statements about the class action being the right thing to do were, I think he believed them. And I think he probably still believes that it was the right thing to do. So it is a dichotomy. But as I said, it doesn't change the accomplishment that Ron Martin was able to achieve on behalf of so many survivors, because they now have options that they never would have had before. We know tomorrow the Diocese of Antigonish is holding a news conference. What questions do you think all of this is raising in the church again?
Well, I hear the same questions again and again. Ron has told me that people come up to him and say, we don't have any issue with the survivors receiving compensation for what happened to them. Child abuse is wrong, and the harm that it caused should be compensated for it to some degree. And so no one has a problem with victims of sexual abuse receiving compensation. The question that comes up most frequently is at what point does the accountability stop? And many survivors have said to me and to Ron, we think Rome should be responsible. It was the institution of the church that allowed this to go on. And, Ron's answer is the same answer I have. I agree. That's right. Unfortunately, the way our legal system is and the way the Catholic Church is set up structurally, these claims can only be brought at a diocesan level. So.
Well, we'll have to leave it at that. We could talk about this for quite some time. We really appreciate you coming in, John McKiggan, tonight. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.